The girl no longer feels her feet. She sits in a shallow hollow cut into frozen earth, high above the clouds along the spine of the Andes. The air is so thin that every breath feels borrowed. Around her, men move beneath heavy cloaks. Their lips are split, their hands tremble, not with fear, but with cold and fatigue. She is about 12. Her hair has been braided carefully. A fine alpaca dress wraps her narrow frame. Someone has set a small gold figure in her lap. A llama, a tiny silver cup, a pinch of maize. Her hands rest over the offerings, fingers rigid, trying to remember what warmth was. She is intoxicated. Her mouth tastes dry and bitter from coca leaves. Her head drifts on chicha. The snow around her looks muted and unreal, like a dream she can't shake. The priests speak, but the words don't stay. Blessings, invocations. She hears only the wind. Up here it doesn't blow. It slices. One of the priests kneels before her. He pulls the blanket tighter around her shoulders. His face is composed, practiced. He is not cruel. He is not gentle. He is working. He repeats what they told her in Costco. You are not dying. You will live among the gods. You will be their bride. The empire will rest safely beneath your care. She tries to answer. Her tongue feels thick. Her jaw refuses to move. Her breath clouds the air, then disappears. He brushes frost from her lashes. For an instant, she looks like a child again. For an instant, he pauses. Then he rises. Behind her, other hollows wait, already filled. Small bodies folded into themselves, wrapped in soft cloth, ringed by gifts. If you're drawn to real history, where innocence is erased quietly, comment where you're watching from and stay with me. A line of children turned into sacred symbols. A line of lives reduced to administration. The signal is given. Snow is packed around her. Stones, bundles of offerings. The sky closes in. The wind softens. The last sensation she knows is not cold, but a strange warmth spreading beneath her skin. Her heart slows. The coca and alcohol complete what the mountain began. Up here, on a volcano higher than any European had yet reached, a little girl falls asleep believing she has saved her people. Below, there will be feasting. Thanks will be offered to the gods. And at the heart of the empire, other little girls will hear the story and pray. They are never perfect enough to be chosen, because this is not where their suffering began. It is where it ended. And for many, it was not even the harshest fate the Inca state held in reserve. To understand why a child's body sits like a statue on a mountaintop for 5 centuries, we must ascend, down the slope, along the road, back to the villages where she was still just someone's daughter. It is the 15th century, during the reign of the great Sariamaru. The empire is growing. New valleys, new peoples, new harvests, and new children. Picture a small Andean village clinging to a steep hillside. Stone and thatch homes. Terraces carved into rock. People awake before dawn. Hands in soil, eyes on the sky. Life is difficult but orderly. There is one day, however, that does not belong to the cycle of planting and harvest. One day the villagers fear more than drought, more than frost, more than illness. It is the day imperial officials appear on the Inca road. They are not soldiers, no spears, no blood on their tunics. They were finely woven cloth dyed in bright hues. They carry tally cords. They walk with the ease of men who know refusal is impossible. They have come to count. Not maize, not llamas, not textiles. They have come to count girls. When they step into the village square, the air shifts. Conversations stop mid-word. Mothers draw their daughters close. Fathers fix their eyes on the ground. No drums, no songs, only a dense, waiting quiet. The command comes quickly. Line them up, girls between 8 and 10, too young to grasp the meaning, old enough to feel the fear. They are lined up, bare feet pressed into hard-packed earth, small hands trembling at their sides. The officials walk slowly along the row. Chins are lifted, lips pulled back to inspect teeth. Fingers slide over arms and legs. hunting for a scar from a childhood fall, a birthmark in the wrong place, a mole that interrupts smooth skin. Any flaw is enough. Not this one. Move on. They are not choosing minds. They are choosing bodies. The Empire is not looking for daughters. It wants material. It wants symbols. It wants perfection. For a family, the instant an official's hand lingers on their daughter cuts in two directions. On one side, privilege, relief from certain labor duties, extra animals, a rise in status. Loyalty is rewarded, and the Empire makes sure everyone knows it. A father can tell himself he has secured his family's future. On the other side is absence, a sleeping mat that will remain empty, a voice gone from the evening fire, a small pair of sandals that will never cross the threshold again. The official speaks the word that seals everything. Akela, chosen. From that moment, the girl is no longer a villager. Her old name will never appear in records again. Scribes will assign her a new one, tied to the state and the gods. Her past is severed like a braid cut from the head. There is no bargaining, no time to prepare. Sometimes not even enough time to cry. She is pulled from her mother's arms, placed into a new line, turned toward the road. Her childhood ends in the center of the village. Her service to the state begins. And this human inventory is only the first step in a system designed to strip these girls of everything they were. The journey to the imperial center is long. The girls travel under guard along paved stone roads. They sleep in way stations. They pass valleys and peaks they never knew existed. It is their first and last glimpse of the wider world as free people. When they reach Cusco or a provincial capital, they are not taken to a temple square. Instead, they are led to a structure that looms over the city like a carved mountain block, the Akalawasi. From the outside, it looks less like a home and more like a fortress. Perfectly fitted stone walls rise without gaps. No balconies. No windows opening to city. Only blind surfaces. You cannot see inside. No one inside can see out. The doors close behind them with a heavy, final sound. A bar slides into place. No explanation is needed. A child feels a meaning settle in her stomach. Freedom has ended. Inside the Akalawasi exists a separate world. Courtyards, workshops, storerooms, sleeping halls, gardens. Sunlight reaches the stone, yet everything feels contained, regulated, watched. The girls are surrounded by other girls, dozens, then hundreds. No fathers, no brothers, no boys from neighboring houses. The only men allowed inside are the Sapa Inca himself, revered as a living god and the occasional physician. Even the guards at the gates are eunuchs, men altered so they can be trusted without desire. Their high voices and smooth faces are a warning. The state will cut whatever it must to maintain control. The true authority here belongs to the older women. The Mamakuna were once chosen girls themselves. Some were never selected for sacrifice. Some proved too valuable to lose. Others had nowhere else to go when you passed them by. Now they govern the Akalawasi with practiced hands and watchful eyes that miss nothing. Training begins immediately. Each day follows the same rhythm. Wake, ritual, work, instruction, more work, brief sleep. The girls are taught to weave kambai, the finest cloth in the empire. Vicuña wool, impossibly thin. Patterns so complex they seem alive. Fabric reserved for temples and the emperor's skin alone. Small fingers pull and twist, tie and pull again until they burn. A mistake is not merely an error. A flaw in the cloth is an insult to the gods. They are also taught to brew chicha. Maize is chewed until jaws ache. Spit, ferment, repeat. The finished drink will be poured at festivals and consumed by priests who will never learn the names of girls who made it. All of this is called service. But the real labor is happening somewhere deeper, inside their minds. The Mamakuna do not yell. They do not threaten. They repeat, every day, in every ritual, every correction. The same phrases are pressed into girls' thoughts like palms shaping wet clay. You do not belong to your parents. You do not belong to yourself. Your skin is the state's. Your hair is the state's. Your womb is the state's. You are not a person. You are an offering. Memories of home are marked as dangerous. Missing your mother is disloyalty. Thinking about boys is corruption. Wanting anything for yourself is betrayal. They live better than the peasants outside the walls. Soft blankets. Enough food. Meat more often than most people will see in a year. Fruit. Warmth. Baths. Their bodies are fed and maintained with real care. But this is not kindness. It is investment. The empire is raising them the way one raises valuable livestock for a rare market. Their skin is oiled. Their hair washed with scented herbs. Their teeth inspected. Their posture corrected. Their behavior recorded. Each day polishes them a little more. And every layer of polish removes something of who they once were. This is how the empire wins. Not through a single shocking act of cruelty, but through slow, total recalibration, until the girls no longer remembered who they were before the system told them what they are. And still, as they grow older, there's another layer waiting. Years pass behind the walls. Girls who arrived at 8 now stand taller. Their voices deepen. Their bodies change. At night in the dormitories, they whisper about what comes next. No one tells them plainly. Answers leak only as rumors, seeping through the cracks like cold air. They know one thing. No one remains a child forever in the house of the chosen. Time here is not counted in seasons. It is counted in bodies. One morning, a girl wakes to find dark red staining her white tunic. Overnight, she has become useful in a new way. When enough girls reach that point, the officials return to the Akalawasi, not the daily overseers. These are higher-ranking men of the state. They pass through the gates with a different weight to their steps. This is not inspection. This is harvest. The young women are lined up again in a courtyard. The air tightens. No one explains the divisions, but understanding comes quickly. The empire has 3 plans for them. The first is politics. Some girls are beautiful, but not the image the high priesthood wants displayed on a mountaintop or sealed into a temple. Their skin is slightly darker. Their lineage traces back to conquered chiefs. Their bodies can serve power in another way. They become gift virgins. They are sent to loyal nobles or regional rulers in distant provinces. They leave the Akalawasi as symbols of favor, as living proof of imperial generosity, as passports to alliances. One day you are told you are a bride of the sun. The next, you are in the bed of a man you have never met, in a land you have never seen. Your body becomes a tool for securing loyalty and producing heirs. The second path is permanence. A smaller number are offered a different kind of sentence. Stay, take vows of celibacy, become a mama, train the next generation to submit, enforce the same rules that once trapped you. You survive. You do not live. The third path is the one whispered about in the dark. Capacocha, the flawless ones. No scars, no marks, no blemishes, no visible stain. Girls whose beauty makes even officials pause. These are selected for the highest role of all, sacrifice. They are told it is an honor beyond measure, that they will not truly die, that they will become bridges between the people and the gods. Their names will live in ritual. Their spirits will guard the empire itself. The adults speak as if a crown has been placed on their heads. The girls' hands shake. And even this, terrifying as it is still not the harshest punishment the system holds in reserve. Because there is another category, one never spoken aloud in the courtyard. A fate meant for those who step outside the roles assigned to them. For these girls, the empire offers something quieter than sacrifice, something slower than death on a mountain. Before that fate, there is spectacle. When a group of Capacocha girls has been selected, the empire does not hide them away. It celebrates them. Cusco fills with bodies. Banners rise. Drums thunder. Priests chant. Animals are led forward and killed as offerings. The Sapa Inca appears in public, the living son of the sun, and the chosen girls are brought before him. They are dressed in the finest fabric they once wove themselves. Gold and silver jewelry gleams on their skin. Feathers from distant forests are braided into their hair. The crowd watches, some in awe, some in pity, some with quiet relief that their own daughters are not standing there. Everyone understands what this means. The girls are displayed as sacred, praised as selfless, told again and again that they are saving the empire from drought, from earthquakes, from famine. Fear is covered with flattery. This is the last time they will walk on level ground, surrounded by so many human faces. When the festival ends, the true journey begins. The procession leaves the capital and turns toward the mountains, the Apis, sacred peaks where gods are believed to dwell. The road is long, weeks, sometimes months, up valleys, across rivers, through thin forests of dark trees, always upward. At first, the girls still speak to one another. They trade stories of their villages. They joke. At night, some cry quietly. The air is cold but manageable. Then the world thins. Green fades away. Trees vanish. Stone replaces soil. Then ice replaces stone. The wind sharpens. Breathing becomes labor. Each step feels like lifting a body that is not your own. Here, the system reveals another layer of planning. The priests begin to give the girls more chicha. Not a sip, but cups. Then more cups. The warmth spreads through their limbs. Panic softens. Coca leaves fill their mouths. In the Andes, coca is medicine. It dulls hunger. It eases altitude sickness. It keeps people moving when their bodies should stop. The amounts given here are not medicinal. They are strategic. By the time the procession reaches the highest slopes, the girls move like sleepwalkers, cheeks flushed from alcohol, jaws sore from chewing coca, eyes unfocused, fixed somewhere between earth and sky, exhausted, starved of oxygen, numb. The priests call this mercy. The empire calls it efficiency. A fully aware child might run, might scream, might fight at the final moment. A sedated child can be guided into a grave and told it is a bed. When they finally reach the summit, the air feels like knives in the lungs. The cold is far beyond freezing. The world reduces itself to white, stone, and sky. The ceremonial site waits. Shallow pits carved into the ground. Stone platforms arranged with care. Offerings prepared in advance. The altar is not built. It is the mountain itself. The girls are placed one by one into their hollows, knees drawn to the chest, arms wrapped around legs, heads bowed. The fetal position, the first posture of life, now the last. Blankets are tucked around them. Small bundles of food placed nearby. Figurines, ornaments, tools, everything someone might need for a long journey. Then the priests step away. Up here, no one hears the final words except the wind. In many cases, there is no struggle. The cold, the alcohol, the coca, and the lack of oxygen close the body down gently. The girls feel a spreading warmth. They drift. They slow. They stop. Their bodies freeze solid long before decay can reach them. In other cases, the ending is quicker and far more deliberate. Centuries later, archaeologists would uncover skulls bearing fractures, injuries consistent with a single, forceful blow from a stone club, a killing strike. Clean, controlled. Perhaps the girl woke at the wrong moment. Perhaps the haze lifted just enough for fear to break through. Perhaps her body tried to rise, to flee, to fight. The empire did not design its rituals to allow interruption. One way or another, the mountain receives its bride. The procession descends, leaving behind only stones, offerings and small frozen bodies curled into the snow. Far below, in warm valleys, people celebrate. Priests announce that the gods have been fed. The harvest will come. The earth will stay still. High above, in a place without sound, a row of children sits in death, their skin preserved, their eyes closed. They stop being daughters. They become symbols. And for all of this, for all the calculated coldness of turning a child into a religious instrument, there is still a fate within the empire that is quieter, more private, and in many ways more cruel. It is reserved not for the perfect, but for the disobedient. The Akla are called virgins of the sun. The system obsesses over their purity. Their bodies are property of the state, of the gods. Any unauthorized touch, any desire acted upon in secret, is not treated as sin but as theft. And the Inca state does not forgive thieves. If a girl inside the Akalawasi is discovered to have broken her vow, if she becomes pregnant, if someone confesses, if a rumor is believed, the machine that once sheltered her reveals its teeth. There will be an investigation. Quiet, methodical, witnesses questioned, reactions watched closely by the Mamakuna. There is no real presumption of innocence. The empire cares less about truth than example. What matters is simple. A sacred body was used without permission. In many societies, such a crime would end publicly, with blood, with spectacle, a hanging, a beheading, a beating. Here, the law demands something different. Her blood is sacred. It cannot be spilled. So they choose another method. She is removed from the courtyards and workshops, taken away from light, not to a mountaintop dressed as a goddess, but to a low, hidden place, an underground chamber, a narrow cave, somewhere the public will never see. There is no ceremony, no festival, no music, only priests, stone, and silence. She is placed inside. No robes, no weapons, no blows, just space, stone walls, a ceiling barely above her head. The entrance remains open for a moment, long enough for her to think this might be a cell. Then she notices the bowl of water, the small handful of maize. That is not mercy. That is time. Time to feel the doorway closing. Time to understand. Time for her breath to echo back from the walls. Time for hope to thin. Slowly, the way air thins on the high peaks. The opening is sealed with heavy stones. Mud is packed into the cracks. Light narrows, then disappears. No one will return. Her screams strike stone and fall back on her. Her fingernails scrape rock until they break. The air grows stale. The darkness becomes so complete that even her own body feels unfamiliar. She dies slowly in a place no one will mark, for a crime that harmed no one's body but violated everyone's fear. Her blood is never spilled. It dries unseen inside her veins. She is erased. The man who touched her, or who was accused of touching her, meets a different annihilation. He is executed. That is expected. But Inca punishment does not end with the individual. His wife, his children, his parents, in some cases, even his animals, all removed, his house dismantled, his fields destroyed. Officials scatter salt across the land where his family once lived and planted. Whether the salt truly kills the soil or merely marks, it does not matter. The message is unmistakable. Nothing will grow here again. Not crops, not descendants, not memory. This is how an entire population is taught that a woman's body is not her own. It is a state asset. To touch it without permission is not merely adultery. It is treason. Fear, not faith, keeps the pure. And while these girls are being turned into offerings or bored into darkness, the system that uses them is already moving toward its own end. Somewhere across the sea, ships have already left Spain. For centuries, everything we knew about these girls and their sacrifices came from those who never loved them, priests who justified their deaths, conquerors who condemned them, storytellers who wrapped them in legend. Then the mountains began to give up their dead. Modern climbers and archaeologists found the frozen bodies, children sitting as if asleep, skin intact, hair braided, clothing still bright beneath the ice. In laboratories far from the Andes, under harsh white lights, scientists began to study them, not to judge their souls, but to read their bodies. Microscopes, scans, chemical tests. They cut strands of hair. Human hair grows about a centimeter a month. Each strand is a timeline, a record of what the person ate and drank, a record of stress, a record of change. For the maiden of Laco, for Juanita, for Ado, the pattern was the same. About a year before death, their diet shifted suddenly. Potatoes, the food of peasants, disappear. Llama meat and maize, the food of the elite, appear. Nutrition improved sharply, exactly when the imperial system would have taken them into the Akalawasi. In the months before death, another pattern emerges. Cortisol, a hormone released under extreme stress, fear, panic, trauma. Levels in these girls' hair climb steadily as their final day approaches. They did not walk calmly into the snow, filled with peace about their holy duty. Their bodies were screaming long before their mouths could. Toxicology reveals another detail. Cocoa and alcohol spike sharply in the weeks before death. Not occasional, persistent, strong. Sedation was not ritual alone. It was logistics. The empire ensured that its offerings could walk to the altar without collapsing in terror or attempting flight. Science cannot tell us the words they whispered or fought when they closed their eyes for the last time. It cannot record the exact sound of the rock sliding over a burial cave, but it demolishes the comforting myth that they volunteered with clear minds and joyful hearts. These were children groomed, isolated, drugged, and killed by a system that called itself sacred. When the Spanish arrived in the Andes in the 16th century, they looked at the Akalawasi and saw corruption. They heard of Capacocha and called it devil worship. They wrote furious accounts of pagan cruelty. Then they raided the same houses. The virgins of the sun who survived were divided as spoils of war, given to soldiers, forced into new beds, pressed into Catholic convents where the gods' names changed, but the walls did not. From offerings to one empire, they became property of another, their voices buried twice, first under snow, then under history. Today, some sit behind glass in climate-controlled museums, temperature carefully regulated, humidity monitored. Plaques explain their significance. Tourists pass by whispering, "They're still beautiful." Their hair still lies in careful braids. Their faces, though shrunk by time, still hold the softness of youth. They do not look like monsters. They do not look like saints. They look like what they were. Children caught between a state and a god. We admire the Inca, their roads, their architecture, their terraces carved into impossible slopes, the near-searchable precision of their stonework, their ability to rule harsh landscapes. All of that is real. So is this. None of that engineering genius existed apart from a system willing to turn girls into offerings, to erase family for secrets kept in the dark, to use fear as the mortar holding society together. The mountains remember what the chronicles tried to distort. The hair remembered what the prayers tried to hide. And now you know. So here's the only question that matters at the end of the story. When you look at the frozen face of a sacrificed girl, do you see devotion, or do you see a child who never got to choose whether her beauty would be a blessing or a death sentence? Answer that, and then consider how much of our own world still runs on the same quiet bargain. Safety for some, paid with the silence of those who never agreed to be the price. If this story moved you, support the channel by subscribing and liking the video.